What spectral balance is the relation between the frequencies in one sound, so the amplitudes of frequencies in one sound. Now once I play a sound like this, let me play this kick drum. You can see on the analyzer where the actual frequencies of this kick drum are and how loud they are. So we have the frequencies and the amplitude of each one. Now what we do with equalizers is we adjust the spectral balance of those frequencies using filters. Of course, in every EQ we have different filters at our disposal. We have the bell filter, just like this one, and we talked about those in lessons before. The filters where we can adjust the width of the band, where we can adjust the gain to up or down, so to attenuate or to boost a certain bandwidth of frequencies, and the frequency, the central frequency where that is going to be happening, from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. In the case of this equalizer, from 10 Hz to 30,000 Hz. Now, what I mean by spectral balance doesn't mean that spectral balance is always one and the same thing. It means that whatever the sound is or was, whatever the frequencies and their amplitudes were right here, I can adjust them using this EQ by applying filters and maybe attenuating some of the frequencies or boosting some of the frequencies. In a case of this kick drum, as you will hear, I can maybe, let's say, bypass all of these while you're listening. So you can hear the frequencies that I've tried to attenuate in this kick drum because I didn't like the way it sounded with those as loud as they were. I did not remove them completely, but I did attenuate them by 10 dBs right here, and that's a lot. 6 dBs is double the attenuation. So if something was 6 dBs quieter, it would be half as loud as it was before. So 10 dBs is almost 4 times quieter. Almost. Let's say 3 point something times quieter than it was, but it only applies to the frequencies in this band. Okay, so this curve shows us the resulting spectrum balance we are applying. So we're just applying that change. Now, to know what a proper balance is for this kick drum is nothing else but taste. And why we do this with the spectral balance using EQs is different purposes. For, let's say, on channels, we do it so that the sounds can maybe fit with other sounds, so that we remove some frequencies that are not needed in our song, or to boost some frequencies that we want to hear, louder and better. On bus EQs, as I've shown you on the drums, we can attenuate or boost the gain of some band frequencies just to, make this entire drum group louder in that part of the frequency spectrum. And on the master, we can also do that to actually maybe remove some frequencies from the stereo or to further correct the spectrum balance of our song. So the relations of the frequencies, the gain of the frequencies in certain parts, so that the spectrum balance is just the way we want it. All in all, in the end, we use equalizers to boost or attenuate certain frequencies so that the spectrum balance was different. Now, we don't just have to boost or attenuate, we can also cut all the way, meaning that I can completely remove certain frequencies out of this kick drum. Let's say everything below, 800 Hertz, just like here. But now we have no bass in it, so we don't want to do that. And that tells you that what we are doing with EQs is just to write something that seems wrong to us. So there is no formula for it. As for us to know what is the proper spectral balance for the kick drum or for a hi-hat, it varies from sound to sound, from genre to genre, from an instrument to an instrument. But to conclude, we do use equalizers to mess with the balance of our spectrum. Remove frequencies that we don't need or boost the frequency that we want to hear louder compared to the others from that sound. Now, what is the purpose of me removing, let's get back to the beginning, removing so much amplitude off of these bands of frequencies in this kick drum? Well, the reason I did that, because first of all, it didn't sound with those frequencies in there, didn't sound that good with everything else in the song. So usually the main purpose for using something like this is to either remove frequencies we don't want, attenuate frequencies we want to hear less of, or boost the frequencies we want to hear more of. Now, these frequencies didn't sound that good to me, in my subjective opinion, in that kick drum when it was playing with everything else. I'm gonna bypass all of this while the entire song is playing so you can hear what I mean. Seemed to me like those frequencies were too resonant, staying in there. So what I would do right now is use EQ on all of these, since the main tools we have in mixing and in music production at all is equalizers and compressors. Equalizers dealing with the spectrum balance of our signal, and dynamic processors like compressors that deal with the amplitude